it's a great honor and privilege to be among women. Because normally I'm addressing people where there's a mixed crowd. I've just come back from Bhopal where there were 50 international guests and most of them were men, and I was saying, oh my God, how many women have you invited? Just 3 of us out of 50 women. And I attended a G20 conference and there was not a single woman in the panel. So that was my question. So I was happy, really happy. O woman, thou art a known mother power, the seldom explored divine power, the giver, the nourisher, and the protector of life. O woman, now be the driving force for making societies richer with your intrinsic power. These were words written by me in 2000 when I had a terrible accident and I had to visit my ancestral place, my Kul Devi, Draupadi. Taking inspiration from there, I started the Draupadi Dream Trust, which has really been focused on understanding the history of how women who were equal halves at a time when there was no religion, it was only spirituality. So how from that spiritual level women have come down to a place where we have to fight for our rights? When a time when we were born with the right to be an equal partner. So I began my journey and with that intention, and that's when I wrote these words, and my role model has been Draupadi Amman. I'm so happy to see YWCA here today. You would be surprised pleasantly to know that Draupadi is worshipped as an Amman, that is a Devi, Amman is Devi, in the oldest Christian Syrian community, which is in the Union Islands, that church, and they still sing a song to her. I have that song. If I had had enough notice, I would have brought that song. Maybe some of you would have understood the language. So the whole issue of equity and empowerment. Since I go as a teacher for women empowerment and youth empowerment, I have devised my own little ways of trying to set the message across. So what is empowerment? EMPOWER-MENT. So let's take EMPOWER. E stands for exercise. M stands for mind and power. So unless you are able to exercise your own power, how can you be empowered? And where do you get that power from? What power you have to exercise? The power comes from knowledge, from skills. If you have a skill, people will call you for a job. People will offer you opportunities, please do this, please do this. And so the skill and the knowledge that you acquire actually leads to empowerment. And when you are empowered and playing an equal role in contributing in the economy of yourself, the nation, the family and the nation, then only you can ask for equity. It is so sad that at a time, as I just said, that when we had spirituality, there was nothing called religion. Since I come from the Vedic land of Vedas, which is Kampilya, and if you can type, and where the Italians have done almost 3 years of research, it's an archaeologically protected site because it is the place of birth and Swayamvar of Draupadi. So the word Swayamvar, does it strike you something? Choosing your own husband. So that knowledge of Vedas, the first things the Vedas tell us, first educate a woman, make her capable of taking her own decisions with the right type of knowledge, connect her to nature, connect her to the world, so that she understands what is her own position, respects her own position. If you respect yourself, people will respect you. And then you give her the power to choose her own husband, because she has to live her life the whole way. And what is the best gift a father and mother can give to a child is knowledge. So coming from that land, gradually we all know all our civilizations, because I have been doing research on civilization. I don't know what is religion. If we are doing something religiously, when I'm studying for my exams, I'm religiously concentrating on that. That is my religion. If I'm doing my work in the house, I'm religiously concentrating on that. That's my religion. If I'm speaking here today, I'm religiously concentrating on trying to share my whatever humble knowledge I have. That is religion for me. So in terms of religion, we are not talking, we are connected to each other through spirituality. And a Vedic civilization tells us that our culture developed. So if you understand the Hindi words, which are very common to all our parts of the country, from Prakriti came the Sanskrit. And the Prakriti means your own self. Sorry, can't you? Sorry. Is this working?
Yeah, no, this is better.
So Prakriti means nature, the law of nature, the law of the universe, which I will not go into details, but in our technical ancient terms we used to call it the Brahmand, the universe. So the universal laws of nature, connecting them. Today, I do jokingly say, but that's a fact. People are talking, oh, we're going to get 5G. We got 3G, we got 2G, we got 4G, we got 5G. I said ancestors had actually connected with a super G. And that super G connected them to the nature. And that made them realize that how everything that is born on this earth is energy, and every part of energy is connected to each other. It is all within us to find that connection. And that's the super energy that our seers of the past, whether in what age, in which place of the world, they've all come through that knowledge. So women in our country always represented the supreme energy, and that's why she was called Ardhangini. She was an equal partner. In fact, in West Bengal, she is called Ginni. Ginni is the gold coin, the purest form of gold. And that's why we feel that giving opportunities to women today is actually, there is no other way than doing that, because today even the Prime Minister is now talking women-led development. It was first development, and now it's women-led development, because we have all realized, we have an engineer sitting here, we have pilots, and Kalpana Chawla, everybody. We all had these in the ancient times. We had scholars, we had priests, we had teachers, we had housewives who were absolutely knowledgeable people. So we never had a dearth of women empowerment. The only problem is that because all our civilizations went through a lot of upheavals, whatever the historical reasons were in different countries, I think it was in the best interest by men to protect us that they put us indoors. I can talk about India. We were deliberately put in those. We did not know what is a parda, and the parda came. We did not know what is sati, and the sati came, the jauhar came. All these came because the men wanted to protect their women. If the woman is not protected, the future generations are not protected. But it became a very prolonged period, so it became gradually somehow a very selfish interest of men, that even when they were liberated, they still found women to be very easy to be sitting at home and not doing much work. And our country had equal rights for women in every part. Even in the panchayats, women were there in ancient ages, especially South East of women ambassadors. And America never had a women ambassador in India, but his wife came, Blackwell. I think her name was Blackwell or Blackwell. She was a professor, and she says, ma'am, we still have the glass ceiling. A lady from America is talking like that. And then we learnt about how in Western countries, the right for a woman to vote also came in the 1920s. We never had to fight for that right. And the best example came from Africa, where the lady said, when we were fighting for our freedom, we said, we are going to stand by you, but you have to give us 50% in everything, even in parliament. And they have 50% in South Africa. In our country, women have fought for freedom. In our country, women have stood up for education. We have had women, even post independence, women coming up in different fields. So I feel today the problem is one only. The problem is this, that the political system has become such, which is my understanding of it, is that unless you have a decision power in policy making, it is very difficult for us to get women at the place from where policy is related to women. So what our fight today should be, I feel, is 50% women in the Rajya Sabha. Because Lok Sabha we can't fight. We don't have muscle power, we don't have money power. But in the Rajya Sabha, the women come through the parties. So we have to put pressure on parties to ensure that the Rajya Sabha, which is a policy making body, should have women, at least 50% women, because in terms of the representation of women also we are very low. Now if you want equity, obviously that's one way that you are making policies where there is equity. Today we have women in different committees, but they are basically for namesake. We did a research on the Panchayati Raj, 33% reservation and all that. I'm sorry, it's all nepotism. We tried our best to meet those women, but the men would come forward and they will try to divert our attention and they lay out a lot of good meals. Yes, we'll call the women. Don't worry, we'll call the women. For 3 hours we waited. And then they were not calling the women. We said, no, where are they? We will go there. We're not going to have your food till we see the women. And then it turned out somebody's wife, somebody's daughter-in-law. So there is no qualification for it. And women who are qualified, like there are so many qualified women here, why should they not be given an opportunity? So a channel has to be found. So I think if you want empowerment, obviously all of you are doing fantastic work in education, which actually what we started in 2005 after we started the trust. We said if you're not computerate, you are illiterate. Today, if you do not know computers, no matter how well qualified you are, it's very difficult for you to hold on to a job because everything is computer linked now. So we started computer IT education. Our center is linked to CSC and we have been educating. We have in fact also introduced computer designing for the artisans and they can do digital designing with the pencil and slate, So we have to identify local resources, local areas where what is lacking, fill in the gaps, which we have been doing, and I think YWCA is doing fantastic work, and you have done such wonderful work. I read through during the COVID period, and all this is happening because of empowerment women. But how many have been recognized by the government, which is our sadness? Why should we not raise our voice on this? And as I said, till we are there in a position of power, we can't do much. So women need to be, I've told 20 minutes, but I'd like to hear everybody, so I will not take too much of time. Any specific question you may want to ask me, because it's very difficult to shortlist 25 years of work in a few sentences. But our Draupadi Trust, I would like to take this opportunity to enlighten you something on Draupadi. Whole of South India, whole of Southeast Asia, she is worshipped. I have personally visited many, many temples. Since it's a Women's International Day, I'd like to clear some misperceptions about the ideal woman. One leading scholar said, if I have to choose between Sita and Draupadi, I would always choose Draupadi as the ideal woman for the world because she knew when to bend and she knew when to rise up. The first woman ever to raise a legal question, I am not his property, what right did he have to pawn me? First woman to raise a legal question. And first woman to ask for her justice. So now people blame her for this huge catastrophic fratricidal war that happened between cousins. I would like you to know something, 20 years of research on the epic Mahabharata. The episode where it is happening, nowhere in the book it mentions that Draupadi is present there. So if she is not present, if she has not seen, how did she laugh? So she never saw, she never said, Andhe ka beta andha, and she never laughed. This is all an imaginative ploy created by Duryodhan. He goes and tells the father to instigate him to get the land back. So it's a political drama where a woman is used as a pawn. And she understood this, and that is why she raises that question, who are they to pawn me? I am not their property. So I think we need to learn this. We need to wipe out our misperceptions, and we need to respect women who have, she's among the 5 major Panchakanyas that we have, which we are revered. And so we need to take lessons from our ancestors, from every part of the world, how they fought for their rights. But I think rather than fighting for our rights, we should create a position where we are given the rights without even asking. We say, bin maange moti mile, maage mile na bheek. So why should we write? So today we are reaching in a position, we have reached very much. Only thing is we have to build a pressure now. And I think today's discussion is going to throw up many issues on health issues, women. We have done alternative treatments, Ayurveda, with the Ministry of Ayush, because we feel that women cannot afford expensive medicines. So we should give them medicines which are traditionally known to us, which is very preventive healthcare system. And in terms of, as I said, education, we are doing computer education. In terms of craft, we are promoting all types of craft across the country, also linking them with the people who buy all that. So we have to keep on doing our work. And I think all of us are educated enough to know what we have to do. The only thing lacking is that we need to join hands so that, they say that if you want to sweep the floor, one stick cannot clean this floor. We have to join together, make it into a nice broom. No arm party. But yes, what I'm trying to say that if we come together as a force, we get more energy together, and that energy spreads across, it goes across. So I think today we should build that energy and create a small little document which will be with just pointers on what is the way forward. And thank you once again so very much for giving me this opportunity.
Pari, please do excuse me. Ms. Neera, I could go on for hours just listening to what you were saying, such brilliant perspective. Before I give it to the esteemed panelists like Ms. Amanda, Satyavardhani and Kunjamma ma'am and the rest of the ANON gang, I think when we are talking about equity, I would just like to leave another perception. We cannot talk about equity until and unless we talk about intersectionality. So when we say that, women are disadvantaged than men, women in like Dalit women or from scheduled caste or women with disabilities, they face a higher disadvantage than men. They face higher disadvantage than women who are from privileged backgrounds. So we have to cater to each of their individual needs. And until and unless we have a system, and until and unless we break down the systemic injustice that women is entitled to, like ma'am has rightfully said about taking the example of Draupadi, where she has the right to choose her partners. And whether it is 1 or 5, it's none of the world's business. It was her choice, and she went ahead with it. Likewise, it is the right of women and the Constitution of India. Article 40, 15(1)(a), 60 gives us the right of expression, right of equality, and right of non-discrimination. The Constitution protects us. But looking at the higher side, in a broader perspective, does the women of marginalized background, does women with disabilities, do they have the provision? Or is it just like a half-baked mechanism? Are we extending our legal systems to accommodate the needs of women with disabilities or women from marginalized background? Very interestingly, in 2020, everywhere I take this example wherever ANON is coming with. In 2020, when the world was grappling in COVID, we were struggling to find a way out. We had to have interventions in program. We ourselves were trying to understand how to work the Zoom. We had Zoom bombings happening on a regular basis. But one of the interventions when happened on mental awareness was when we reached out to the deaf women, and they told us that when they face an atrocity or when they go through domestic violence, they cannot make a complaint in the police station. How do they communicate? how are the complaints being written down? Because the police people, they are not equipped to have an ISL, an Indian Sign Language interpreter there. So then how do they make their complaint? How do they make their voice heard? I know we are just saying voice heard, but how do they make their need there? And likewise about the scheduled caste, we have the Scheduled Caste Act also protecting that without the consent of a woman, even if you touch a woman from scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, you can file a complaint. But is that the reality? If you look at the status of National Commission for Women and the entire statistics, only 2% of the entire complaint constitute of the women. And what does that say? Does that mean that the women from marginalized backgrounds are not undergoing through any sort of atrocities? No. It's because they do not have a provision or they do not have a leeway to make their complaint due to many reasons. And we are so privileged to be here talking about, equity, about diversity. But until and unless we make a conscious effort to make our circles to include people, to include women from different backgrounds, we cannot call ourselves a women empowered organization. Whether it be ANON, whether it be YWCA or any other women organizations for that matter, we have to address the need. I will also just like to take this example because recently for our Women's Day celebration in YWCA, I just shared with Ms. Mathew also. I just went through an archive, a document. So one of our previous national president was Rajkumari Amrit Kaur. She was the first health minister and the only woman in the women's cabinet, because that reminded me of the video. Yes, we don't want to be the only woman. So this happened in 1947 when India got freedom. So in 1938, when Jawaharlal Nehru was making the planning commission, he was making so many committees because by the time we were saying, yes, India is going to be free, this perspective of a new country, everybody was excited. So Jawaharlal Nehru with Subhash Chandra Bose, they had these different committees formed for India, thinking about the future of India. But nobody was a woman in any of the committees, let alone a committee for women had men in it. So in our archive, there is a record that says Rajkumari Amrit Kaur was furious about this. She wrote to Jawaharlal Nehru personally saying, how can you even think of a future of India without women in it? And it was only then that he constituted one of the committees on women, which actually was the basis for National Commissions Act 1990. So that particular committee, which was headed by Sarojini Naidu, Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, all the ladies that we know of, was because one woman had raised a voice and asked for it. Nobody wants to be that only health minister or only woman minister in the cabinet. But until and unless we talk for each other, until and unless we stand for each other instead of pulling them down, then I think so that's a start where we can say that we will not be the only woman or the first woman or, wherever, in whichever space we are. So for that, I believe organizations like us have to talk about diversity, equity and inclusion, while also we have to build each other up. We have to reduce our judgments on each other and we should focus on the positives. With that note, I would just like to close.
Strongly feel that even if coming from a privileged background, there are just certain things that you have a mental block or, where women are taught that from your father's house you go to your husband's house, and there's so many things that where mentally we just do not think of ourselves competent enough, even if we are, to take a stand. I think that's where, all of it comes from, that empowerment has to also come from within. So I think somewhere we need to educate women also, to make them aware that you are not a secondary species. You're the part, you're, an equivalent of, for them it has to come from their mind in itself,
The upbringing.
The upbringing and how the society treats its women from the very beginning has to change.
She said a very interesting point, mother's house to father-in-law's house. There's a very big misconception about Kanyadan in our society. See, what happens is that we have a system in our ancient times, they believed, I think as a scientist, if there's any zoologist or somebody who worked on that type of science would know that crossbreeding is good and not similar breeding, which is, so we had this system of gotra. That means gotra means from the same lineage. If you marry in the same family, then you are likely to have deformed children or mentally retarded children, etc. So they believe that's scientifically proven things. Now what happened is that when a girl is going from one house to the other, she is born in a particular family and she has that name of that family, the gotra of that family. Today we call it surname or we give it different names, but in those days it was only gotra. So gotra of the family, when she is getting married, she actually dans, she gives dan of her gotra, she gives back her gotra to her father, and then she says, now I'm taking the gotra of my husband. So so when she's going from one, so we are prepared to say, okay, humne apna, I left my father's place, but now I'm here. I'm a subject there and I'm a subject here. No, it was her decision to give her gotra and take the other gotra. So she comes as an independent person, and that feeling as a mental block that I am not here as somebody's substitute, I'm here as a right.
So you mean to say the father is not giving the kanya as a
No,
dan?
not at all.
The kanya is giving her name as dan.
And she also, she takes that chawal and throws back saying, okay, whatever I took from you, I leave back, now I live my own life.
Yes.
And there she's given the status of an ardhangini. As I said, in Bengal she's called Ginni, the purest form of gold, She's considered a precious person in the house, and that's why they say educate her, so that it becomes an asset to the family. When you're an asset to somebody, first you be an asset to yourself, then you be an asset to the family. Automatically people will start respecting you. That's a hard process that we have to learn. Sorry.
There's a lot of misrepresentation of cultural
Yes.
culture also. There are a lot
Yes.
of rituals that are
Rituals,
misrepresented,
yes.
and which is
This is a new aspect which we've learned today. Kanyadan.
Like although she's telling her parents, whatever you gave me, you fed me, I'm giving it back to you. That is very painful, no?
No. She's not saying that whatever you gave me, she's taking her decision that now whatever you had given me as a token, I'm telling you, now you keep here. I am going to make my own life and start a new life.
But no, that's how it was interpreted. That's why we also
So,
now you are
interpretation is
clarifying it to us.
happening.
It's good.
Actually, we have a different perspective to it. When we throw rice behind, the perspective that my parents gave me was that I'm going out of your house, but I don't want that your house should be empty. So it should always
Yeah,
be
so
full.
the
Lakshmi of the house
It
is
should always
leaving,
be full.
and I hope that behind me I give you all the prosperity and yes.
She is considered the Lakshmi.
Lakshmi
so
of the
she
house.
says, I will leave, but your Lakshmi, your Annapurna should remain.
Yes. So this was
धन धान्य से भरपूर रहे. I wish you धन धान्य से भरपूर, and I'm taking a new step here. It's a matter of interpretation.
And when the
unless
girl
you
goes
get
to
the-
her in-laws house, चावल अंदर की तरफ गिराते हैं कि अब लक्ष्मी इस घर में मैं बनकर आई हूँ.
हाँ.
So
मैं यहाँ भी फल फूल
फल फूल और वहाँ पर भी देकर आई हूँ. So वो सिर्फ लड़की के हाथ में.
Yes, I think as a young woman and a person who's not married yet, I think the concept of marriage itself is such a culturally ingrained topic that if you're not married, you're not at your successful enough. You're not successful.
I'm
Settled.
not settled, so don't worry on that.
Yeah. But you're talking about marriage, but we also think about the agency which women have, and it can be without marriage also. We are empowered without these customs, without these marriage details also. So just wanted to brought it because I am like about to turn 25, but the murmurs are around in the house. But I think we should come out of those also, like come out of these custom practices and giving that agency to women and young women themselves to decide whatever they want.
And most of these customs are all added towards the very end. They weren't there to begin with. Ma'am, since you know so well about the history of Draupadi, they never, none of our religious documents also talk of, this kind of
Forcing
rituals.
everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there are too many things which are just built up, and few are meaningful, few are just forced. So
Maybe just adding on to the rituals in the family of marriage and all, so that it becomes a fun celebration.
Sorry, can I just following up on Yashika and Nirja ma'am, I would ask you this question because it is
My name is
forever.
Neera.
Neera.
Yeah.
Neera. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Not at all.
So, Neera ma'am, there is this particular, expert from Manusmriti which says that, Pita Rakshati Kaumare, Batru Rakshati Yavani and Putro Rakshati Vadike. Is there a different interpretation to it, or is it something that is to be contested?
See, first of all, we have to know that most of these texts have been interpolated. So we have to find out the, detailing whether the same text is there or it is an added on text. Okay. And there is a lot of misinterpretation, even the Tarna wala stuff, Tarna doesn't mean Marna. It also means they need special attention, special focus, because women are weak, animals are weak, the people who are, as she said, the Dalits and the poor classes, they are weak, so they need special focus. Tarna never ever meant Marna. So I think I need to first see whether it is from the same text or not in the same text, because a lot of interpolation has been going on even regarding Ramayana. There is this whole Uttarkand, which was not written by Valmiki, and then they have added all in that. So all these are things we need a little more research.
Because every story ends up with a happy ending, and before the Uttarkand it says they lived happily ever after.
Yeah, it has ended.
So
It ended.
if someone added
It
the
says
Uttarkand
iti over there.
afterwards.
That means the end.
So Sita was never asked to, it has been added on afterwards.
Sita has never been
Sita was never asked to leave.
But one thing I will always see, because I did an international conference even in South India, in Chennai, some years back. Women in South India, I think, enjoy more freedom. Women in West India enjoy more freedom. Whether it is Gujarat or Maharashtra or any south of the states, women are more free, more, independent than women in the north part of India. And that is a historical reason, because the north part of India was very badly damaged, very badly invaded, So there was more strict laws made for women in the North India. And that is why, unfortunately or unfortunately, the center of power has always been North India. And so the decisions that have been taken in North India get percolated across without we appreciating. So that was my, big headlines in the Herald that time when we did that conference was MS Swaminathan, if all of you know MS Swaminathan, his daughter is doing very well now, yeah. So we had done it in this collaboration, and we realized that because the knowledge system in South India, in West India continued, our knowledge system was completely destroyed. So we have to take into account those historical factors, and as the new information is coming out, we need to reinterpret and re-understand this whole thing. Amen. The grass is greener on the other side.
Normally that's what we, in South the ladies are educated. Education ratio is more, so that's why they are a little more empowered. But I think ladies will be empowered when they'll be able to take financial decisions in their house, which we can't. Most of the time husband bata denge, wo kar lenge. Hum chote. I believe that empowerment will happen when we also will say कि ये मेरा decision है, मैं ले सकती हूँ, मैं बता सकती हूँ. जबकि लेडीज आर मल्टीटास्किंग. हम यहाँ बैठे हमारे दिमाग में चल रहा है हमारे बच्चे ने खाना खाया कि नहीं, मेड ने खिला दिया या वो कर चुका है. वी आर डूइंग एवरीथिंग टुगेदर. कपड़े प्रेस होकर आ गए, मतलब एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग बैक ऑफ द माइंड एंड वी डू इट वेरी ब्यूटिफुली. वी मैनेज आवर हाउस एंड आवर वर्क. But still, many a times we are not able to take decisions of money.
That is because we don't have the finance ourselves. You see, we are not controlling the finance. We are not earning the finance. The problem is that, and women who are controlling and earning finance, like madam is an engineer or whichever profession, एक psychological, as she said, mental block है कि भाई whatever I bring is for the husband. He has to decide. We give it to them. We give them the power.
Absolutely, ma'am. It's our mental block before it, and it is. I mean, they say socially. I mean, we are just shaking your head saying no. No, so ma'am, our most, there's this. Mostly, children are brought up by their mothers. And if the mother starts creating equality, so they say when you have sons, and when you talk of women equality, you have to teach your son equality. You don't have to teach your daughter that, you have to teach your son that. So I think that's where it comes, like until you are mentally strong enough to do something.
I would like to take the opportunity
very interesting
to
example.
appreciate my husband. I have left my job around 12 years back, but whatever my husband earns, everything I manage. He has no clue where the money is going, where it's coming, what is happening.
But you're not following gender equality. You should also tell him, ask him when I'm doing this.
Yeah, so it should be a joint
I have time to, talk to the CA, do this, do that, you manage it. So, there are people like that as well. So,
If you go to the grassroots level, because we work with the grassroots people there in the villages, even in North India, I've noticed, they are very, very strict with their husbands. They say, I'm sorry, but they pick up the lathi and say, "Baat nahi mani to samajh lo."
That happens after some years of the marriage, not at the beginning years probably.
Well, I haven't. We generally talk to different women, and they are all very firm. And there, I have noticed that they say, "Na ki the mother-in-law is against the daughter-in-law." There, it's not there in the law of starter. I have not seen that.
Even in the mountains, if you
In the mountains, it's very.
Garhwal and all, you would see that women are working much harder.
It's a post office economy. They just send the money, and the women decide what to do.
Yes.
All
Men are nowhere
us actually are filing our own income tax. How many of us know कहाँ कितना invest करना है? तो जब हम वही नहीं करते तो कैसे financial decisions लेंगे?
Actually, I think the problem lies in the subjects in school. When I was talking to my husband, actually it's very important to have financial subject
knowledge
in this in the school in the early ages. He says it's there when you take accounts in class 11, but how many? I am a science student. I have never seen it. So that is why.
Aarti ma'am, I have something to add here. We say, but it's the same for men also, no? So it is somewhere on. It is something that we have done wrong to ourselves, not taking that financial information.
Everything can be learned.
Everything can be learned. I mean, it has been. That's why I say it's a
because they manage the money, so they learn.
Everybody does not learn, na? So if it is their part of the curriculum, then it make a difference.
That's what ma'am said.
Sorry ma'am, it's not necessary.
Empower yourself first. So you need to empower yourself. For that you need to take an initiative to learn something new. So if you don't do that, you can't expect somebody to tell you, teach you. I think if you want to and if you are
It is
willing
our
to,
fault
you
that
can.
we leave the financial matters to the
Absolutely,
men, and that is why.
When do we actually have a discussion?
I have seen the difference between women when I used to go for same workshop. So there in Agra, women are fully covered with their ghungat, but they are vocal. But they were sitting behind the men. And in Bengal and Maharashtra, women are in front and men are sitting at the back. So this is the difference what we are carrying in our own country in two different states. So this is still going on. North and
North
South.
have been very badly affected
Very
by
badly.
the invasion.
But still
West
they are
and South
very vocal, ma'am. They are very vocal.
No, they are
But they are following the culture. But they are vocal and they are fighting for their rights. But in Maharashtra, if you see, they are very open. Very open. They are like fighting for their land rights. They are in front. And I was very surprised. There were only 4 men who were sitting behind the women. So this is the difference. And we have to, what we have to do, we have to increase the connectors and decrease the dividers, which are dividing the society. And financially part comes very late. First we have like the base, जो नींव बोलते हैं ना, that the base,
the root,
the roots that we have to make strong. From there itself we have to make it gender equality.
No, but financial inclusion should start right in the beginning. Why?
Yeah, sure,
because when
sure.
a girl is going into another family or even in her own house, if she's financially independent, let us be honest, she gets little more respect than women who are not
Absolutely, ma'am.
Yes.
That's because everybody knows that if she was to walk out today, she'd be able to take care of herself. That's the biggest thing that holds
See,
women back.
if I talk about myself, my father who taught me from the beginning, because he looked after me. I lost my mother in a very early age. But from the beginning, he taught me to be an independent woman, not to depend on anyone. So till now, like, I'm doing everything on my own. But ma'am, I have a question. When you said, when girl married and then she threw that thing and she said, I am free now.
She doesn't say I'm free now. She says that in our concept, child is considered Lakshmi. We do Lakshmi Puja. अभी हमारा 9 दिन का त्योहार आ रहा है. We do लक्ष्मी की पैर पूजा करते हैं कि घर में when a female is born, it is Lakshmi has come in the house. So when she is Annapurna also. So when she is moving out, obviously she feels that she is taking away that lucky charm of this.
Absolutely.
So she says that I will ensure that the Annapurna and the Lakshmi stays with me.
मैं चली जाऊँ मेरे पीछे मेरे परिवार को अन्नपूर्णा की कमी.
मेरे पिता का घर again she is coming to her husband house, then again following the same culture.
But here I want to add on to one thing. The first video also mentioned that, but we I think skipped that जब लड़का पैदा होता है तो खुशी मनाई जाती है और लड़की से ज्यादा मनाई जाती है. आज की डेट में पढ़े लिखे फैमिलीज में इक्वल बोलते हैं, लेकिन लड़का सबको चाहिए. क्यों? अंदर के अंदर सबको चाहिए.
नहीं, अभी ये जो क्रिकेट मैचेस होते हैं, जब मेन के होते हैं तो एवरीबडी लाइक चीयर्स देम. अभी विमेन का हॉकी भी खेल के आए हैं, अभी विमेन जीत के आए हैं, बट नोबडी लाइक टॉक अबाउट इट. But nobody talk about it. I can tell you about that Sakshi Malik.
At that level, it's only just started happening.
Yeah.
So that's been happening for so many years. I think it's getting very good response. You'll have to give it a little time.
Yes. System, do we have a particular subject of gender equality? Can we propose, like, ma'am can do that? No? We should have from the system itself.
But now it's started in colleges, at least gender.
We must have the particular subject.
It's a part of life skills now.
From the very early.
We must have that particular subject. Gender equality
Gender
subject we
equality is
must
a part
have.
of life skill sessions.
We have to
But
prescribe
once
from the
you come
government,
to the
from
house
women body
and the
we have to
whatever
do
the
that.
whole,
We have to
then
do
again it's
proposal.
starting.
That's what
the house
in my mind so I think it will give work.
But the society is not allowing them to do it.
Society?
Who is
in the system itself.
Actually, we saw in the society, the women's represents. They are doing their best, but whatever they are getting the rewards, it's not that much whatever they do there, especially. So when we know the ladies, but not their families. Why? But encouragement they get from the society as well as from the family. But whenever they comes up, we know only the individual as a ladies. So we have to see, we have come up to the stage, up to the high, the peak points. But whenever we comes, we get more difficulties also. Equality, when with the boys we talk about men's gender. So my opinion for this about the boys, they also get the best results, but then we'll see how it comes.
In a lot of ways is an equalizing force in many ways. So if people, both men and women, can get access to education, you kind of come at the same level. But कहानी शुरू होती है एजुकेशन के बाद, जब आप करियर चूज करते हैं. ठीक है, करियर चूज करने के लिए जो यहाँ पे बात हो रही थी, क्या आप दूसरे शहर में जाके अपना करियर चूज कर सकते हैं? क्या आप एक सर्टेन टाइप ऑफ करियर चूज कर सकते हैं? और अगर आपकी कॉस्ट ज़्यादा इंटेंसिव है आपकी करियर चॉइस की, क्या आप वो कर पाएंगे? एनीवेज, फिर उसमें डिवीजन हुआ. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट सवाल आया, अगर आप अपनी मैरिज को डिले करना नेगोशिएट कर पाए, इफ यू वर एबल टू डिले योर मैरिज टू योर लेट 20s और अर्ली 30s, टेक अ स्टेप फॉरवर्ड. इफ यू आर एबल टू चूज वेदर टू मैरी और नॉट, टेक 2 steps forward. If you were able to choose your spouse, take another step forward. इसमें क्या हुआ, इसमें कई सारी महिलाएं पीछे रह गई। उसके बाद बात आती है करियर की। करियर में हमने पूछा कि अगर आपकी जॉब ये डिसाइड करती है आप किस शहर में रहेंगे, तो एक कदम आगे लीजिए। What do you think the response would have been? Who would have stepped forward? अगर आपकी इनकम घर चलाती है और उसको एज अ सप्लीमेंट्री इनकम नहीं देखा जाता, तो एक कदम आगे लीजिए। Who stepped forward? So obviously, क्योंकि even when women are earning equally, I mean उनको or more, their income is always seen as a supplemental income. Now उसके बाद आप अगर ऑफिस में हैं और अगर आपसे ये पूछा जाए, कैन यू आस्क फॉर प्रमोशन, कैन यू आस्क फॉर अ सैलरी रेज, हु डू यू थिंक स्टेप फॉरवर्ड? Exactly. Another question was, if you are vocal in your office, if you raise issues, then take a step back. कई सारी महिलाएं जो थी, they took a step back because they are vocal. Then we said, if you are seen, perception, if there is a perception of you as ambitious, take a step back. Many women step back. So basically what we are seeing through, what we measured through this exercise was what we were talking about right here in this room. That we struggle with a lot of roles that are put onto us. राइट फ्रॉम द बिगनिंग, पहले वीडियो से लेकर जो हमारा मोस्टली अभी डिस्कशन रहा, हमने उसमें बात करी विद्या, लक्ष्मी, शांति, उषा, संध्या, अन्नपूर्णा, निशा, सपना। अगर मैं इन सब चीज का एक कॉमन फैक्टर ढूंढती हूँ तो ये सब बहुत ही शांत, सुशील, अकोमोडेटिंग, एडजस्टिंग, नर्चरिंग, गिविंग काइंड ऑफ वर्ड्स. But the only difference in this was what ma'am said, Draupadi. But Draupadi तो इस लिस्ट में नाम नहीं था ना, वो इसलिए नहीं क्योंकि आपको तो यही बनना है ना, सुशील, सभ्य, सबकी बात सुनने वाली, एडजस्टिंग, अकोमोडेटिंग. अगर आप में से किसी ने नेटफ्लिक्स सीरीज देखी है अरेंज मैरिज, सीमा तपारिया, थोड़ा तो एडजस्ट करना ही पड़ता है. कॉम्प्रोमाइज इज द वर्ड. क्योंकि you cannot have dreams, you cannot be ambitious, you cannot be asking for your rights, you cannot be asking for your own growth. आपको तो हमेशा सबमिसिव बन के रहना है. So another thing we asked, आपको ऑफिस में ऐसी कोई एक्टिविटीज है, अगर डेकोरेशन एक्टिविटी है या कोई इवेंट है उसके लिए मेन्यू प्लानिंग करनी है, या कोई गेस्ट आ रहा है तो आपको बुके देने, तो महिलाएं तो चाहिए ना सर धज के सामने. Men will never be asked for doing this. So these are some of the reasons जो अभी हम बात कर रहे थे कि why there is only one of many.
These are stereotype roles.
क्योंकि हम महिलाओं को human की तरह नहीं देखते हैं. We don't see women as a human being. We see women only through the lens of a role. बेटी, बहू, घर की लक्ष्मी, माँ, etc. etc. So अगर एक्चुअली एक और एक्सरसाइज मैंने और एलिजाबेथ ने एक दूसरे सेशन में करी थी, जिसमें हमने महिलाओं से बोला था आप अपनी एक पेपर लीजिए और अपनी क्वालिटीज लिखिए. मैं आपको बता रही हूँ, देयर वर लिटरली वुमेन इन द रूम हु वर नॉट एबल टू राइट व्हाट देयर क्वालिटीज आर, एंड देन वी फ्लिप्ड इट अराउंड. We pasted the paper on the back and we asked others to write about them, and there was a big list. We don't see ourselves as human beings. We only see ourselves as किसी की बेटी है, किसी की बीवी है, किसी की ये है, किसी की वो है. But उससे पहले आप एक महिला हैं. You are a human being in your own right. And when we, like ma'am said, when we realize that power, that we are a human being with all the power that goes with being a human being, then everything flows from outside. मुझे भी यहाँ तक पहुँचने में बहुत साल लगे. मैं भी कभी नहीं पूछ पाती. In fact, it's a confession, till date I have not asked for promotion. I have asked for more responsibilities कि मैं ये काम करना चाहती हूँ, लेकिन मैंने कभी जाके डिमांड नहीं किया कि मेरी सैलरी बढ़ाइए. But now I have realized that, and whichever interview I give or wherever I appear, I am very clear. I am not going to compromise on my worth. You have to pay me what my worth is. If the opportunity goes, it goes. I just
give an example of what you say. Beti bhi hai, we are a daughter, we are a wife, we are a mother. But before that, we are a responsible personality in our own.
Exactly.
Kunti. Just see how Kunti behaved. A widow, deprived of everything, but yet she behaved with such dignity. She brought up her children as her own, and she ensured that they get back their rights. So she was beyond being a mother, beyond being just
a
widow, and beyond being just a Rani or something like that. I mean, just a wife, somebody's wife. So we have to learn from our historical personalities.
There's something I like to add, the problem is also that a woman has certain responsibilities that nobody is expected to share. When we are we've shown that pregnant woman, when she's going to deliver, she's going to get her 6 months maternity leave. After that, whose responsibility is to take care of the child? Why is it only the woman's? Why are fathers not considered equally responsible? That is because our society has given certain roles to women, and there's nobody allowed. I mean, there's certain responsibilities that we expect from women.
What has happened is that we in India across the country have been brought up in a joint family system. Since the joint family system has become a nuclear family system, we have not been able to adjust the roles of men to adjust to the nuclear family.
How come the women have adjusted?
We have to educate the men.
Anuradha, we are
The child needs the mother more
from the West. यहाँ पे भी अब पैटर्निटी लीव शुरू हो गई है हमारे ऑफिस में 15 दिन की है। और दूसरी बात ये है कि जब आप स्पेशली जो कपल्स इंडियन कपल्स जो बाहर जाते हैं when they live in Europe or US जहाँ पे हाउस हेल्प फैमिली हेल्प नहीं होती करना पड़ता है करते हैं वो लोग बट वो लोग वापस आकर नहीं करते क्योंकि समाज क्या कहेगा we are so afraid of being ashamed.
Especially in South, many know that it's not still worrying about you. You're not willing to give it up.
Why? Because we ourselves is not strong. We define ourselves by those goals.
Sometimes the woman herself puts another woman down.
But why?
In South,
क्योंकि हम अपने में strong नहीं होते ना. We derive power from being a mother.
Our bringing up is at fault. The women, हम as a औरत, we are not bringing up our children equally. The boy is taught something else, and the girl is taught something else.
In my case, my father played a very, very important role. I have 4 brothers and I'm the only daughter, but my father insisted that I be treated 100% equally. If the son is not cooking, the daughter will not cook. He has to fight with my mother. My mother used to say, "Arey, usko shadi karke ghar jana hai." She says, whether wo shadi karegi ki nahi is her decision. Don't talk about her shadi. So
and you have a very important point forward, which is internalized patriarchy. कि हम लोग इसको internalize कर लेते हैं और हम वो rules लागू करते हैं. अभी हम बात कर रहे थे और मैम से भी मेरी बात हो रही थी कि एक महिला दूसरी महिला की दुश्मन क्यों है? क्योंकि हम सेम जेल में हैं और जेल में कोई जेलर ने पावर दे रखी है किसी को और बाकियों को कंट्रोल करने की. So basically, I have a very good friend who explains it कि ये सब सन पावर की वजह से हो रहा है. SUN वाला सन नहीं, SON वाला सन. So माँ चाहती है ये सन पावर मेरी तरफ हो, वाइफ चाहती है ये सन पावर मेरी तरफ हो, क्योंकि एक्चुअली पावर उन दोनों के पास नहीं है. तो वो लोग पावर के लिए लड़ रहे हैं जो कि कहीं और रेस्ट करती है. So it is about that unequal power balance, and that power balance will shift when they work together to get power back from the sun. Then the power will be distributed.
And also, the men are somewhere intimidated with strong women. Yes, they are. They would not want a strong woman in their life. They would, want, okay, they thoda sa submissive ho, thoda docile ho. So it comes from there because I have a lot of friends who have like this
Matrimonial ads are the perfect example.
Yes,
you shouldn't be homely लड़की.
आप बात समझिए कि जो लड़की लॉ करती है ना उसकी शादी बड़ी मुश्किल से होती है. उसको अधिकार पता होगा और वो वोकल होगी उनके बारे में.
Even the police woman.
She's been taught to be vocal.
Even the police woman.
Opinionated women are not respected.
I think it's insecurity to the men.
Yes.
They are very, very insecure.
No, she's nice, but she's highly opinionated.
वो एडजस्ट नहीं कर पाएंगे. So you must see this. अगर आप लोगों ने नहीं देखा है, ये Netflix पे है, इसके 2 सीजन आ चुके हैं और it is such a hilarious watch for arranged marriage. सीमा तपारिया, the way she, तो वो लड़कों की 10 वो लेती हैं रिक्वायरमेंट, लड़की कैसी चाहिए. वो 150 गर्ल्स को रिजेक्ट कर सकता है, लेकिन लड़की 2 लड़कों को रिजेक्ट नहीं कर सकती. और अगर उसने बोल दिया 3 से 4 उसने अपनी रिक्वायरमेंट लिस्ट बता दी, तो उसके बाद वो कहते इसका तो नहीं हो पाएगा. वेरी चूजी. हाँ
मैम, लड़की कैसी चाहिए हमें? We had somebody ask my mother, आपने लिखा है आपकी बेटी गोरी है, कितनी गोरी है? दूध मलाई से compare कर. What do you want? Like, what is this question? Like, will you ask somebody? I mean, something is equal to their looks. I mean, we're not objects. We are human beings. You won't analyze.
लड़का कितना कमाता है और लड़की कितनी सुंदर है, फिर रिश्ता होता है.
In Bengali, there used to be
It's the truth.
You should look at the feet.
Yes.
Lakshmi ke, it should be a flat foot.
ज़्यादा लंबे पाँव, बड़े पाँव होने चाहिए ना.
Yeah, so it just, these things I think we need to get over it. But the point is that here we were talking about equity. So when we talk about equity, you know, it's not about treating everyone equally. It's about ensuring that we also understand the circumstances of people.
एक्सरसाइज में केवल 3 महिलाएं आ गई थी और वो तीनों महिलाएं अनमैरिड विदाउट किड्स. और जैसी शादी होगी, बच्चे होंगे, आई एम श्योर शी विल रीच देयर. बट अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं कि आपको सब लोगों को आगे देखना है और कोई पीछे ना रह जाए, तो सेम सोल्यूशन सब पे काम नहीं करेगा. कुछ लोगों को ज्यादा जरूरत है, कुछ लोगों को कम जरूरत है. और यही पॉजिटिव एफर्मेशन किया जाता है. जैसे 33% इन पंचायत इस पॉजिटिव एफर्मेशन. और हमें चुन के ऐसे पॉलिसीज बनानी है, ऐसे रूल्स बनाने हैं. स्पेशली ऑफिसेज में आप यू लेफ्ट वर्क फॉर 12 years. आई एम श्योर आफ्टर योर चिल्ड्रन वर बोर्न, राइट? So now when women start coming back to the workforce, is there someone who can retrain them and ease their entry into the workforce? Can the offices provide creche or daycare on site? Yes. Can you have reduced working hours? I'll tell you, my colleague in my organization's head office is in Vienna, Austria. So the maternity rules that apply, almost 1 year of paid leave. उसके बाद यू स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन रिड्यूस्ड आवर्स. आप ऐसे नहीं कि पूरे 8 घंटे के लिए वापस आ जाते हैं. यू स्लोली इंक्रीज योर आवर्स एंड दैट टाइम योर जॉब इज गारंटीड बाय द गवर्नमेंट. तो आपकी नौकरी कोई नहीं ले सकता, आपकी जॉब सिक्योरिटी है, आपको पैसा मिल रहा है, प्लस आपको फुल टाइम काम नहीं करना पड़ा. सो लिटरली स्पीकिंग, टिल द टाइम योर चाइल्ड इज अबाउट 2 years old, यू हैव दैट फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी. और उस समय आपके हस्बैंड को भी पेटर्निटी लीव मिल रही है बच्चे का ध्यान रखने के लिए. सो अगर इस तरह के हम मेजर्स ला सके, अंडरस्टैंडिंग बिल्ड कर सके, देन वी हैव अपॉर्चुनिटीज फॉर इक्विटी.
Absolutely. That's when we can build a balance.
But we are getting there. 15 days of paternity leave आ गई अभी. Break from your job and pursue your dream. Most men in my office, they said we can't do this because the pressure of running a family is. Even though they are financially independent, उनको शायद जरूरत ना हो, रेंट से पैसा आ रहा है, वाइफ कमा रही है, तो घर तो चलेगा, लेकिन the shame of not earning as a husband. So the patriarchy works for the detriment of both the genders.
Absolutely.
And a lot of divorces because the woman is earning more than the man. The egos are there, you know.
So thank you very much.
She's all ready with the presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Which one?
That's what I was like.
Good afternoon, ladies. Yes. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity, ANON. This is like wonderful opportunity we are having. We are having such a wonderful discussion, very thought-provoking and invigorating discussions we are having. To add to that, I want to add a little more fire to that. That's what I'm planning to do. We are all having a very wonderful discussion. Yes, we are having a discussion about how women in our olden times, how they were revered, venerated and respected. And I just want to take you into the stark reality of today, how we are facing the situation. So when we are talking about equity, we have to see where is the inequality. Equity, we are talking, earlier we talked about equality also. Where do we women in India stand in the matters of inequality? Is here 30% of the women in India between the age group of 15 to 49 have been sexually exploited. We may not agree to it, we may not admit to it, but that's the fact. And 6% of women of age group, same age group, are victims of sexual exploitation. Alright? And 31% of married women are facing problems in their marriage, physical, sexual, or emotional violence in their homes from their own partner. And again, the rape cases are never reported in India. The reporting is 6.3% out of 1 lakh of the population. Most of the states like Bihar, UP or Uttarakhand, the reports are never reported at all. These are all, I am not saying, it is being quoted by the National Family Health Survey. Again, the inequalities are prevailing further is at work. What is happening? Many times women are getting into unhealthy environments. They get unequal wages, very dismayed treatment, and they are sometimes subjected to sexual harassment, and they are asked to work odd hours. All the odd jobs they were asked to do, 27% of the work the women are doing are unpaid work. Again, come to violence against women. How Indian women are restricted from going out. How Indian women are subjected to trafficking. How every 42 minutes a sexual harassment is occurring. And how every 43 minutes a woman is kidnapped. And how every 34 minutes a rape is taking place. And every 93 minutes a woman is burned alive for dowry in India. And this is our India. And poor health care. How much malnutrition is affecting our Indian women. So this during the illness also, women will be the last people who will be going to the doctors. If possible, we will not go to the doctor. We will try our own systems, mechanisms. Many times we are very much afraid or very much inhibited to meeting a male doctor. We don't want to get us examined by a male doctor. Even for educated women like us, we have that mindset. Okay. So to add to the woes, lack of education, poor literacy rate is affecting women in India, and no education for in many of the states, even up to the higher secondary standards. Further, economic constraints are many. So we are not actually sure about our own economic situations. We are dependent on our husbands or fathers largely for all the economic decisions in the family, and there is no equal right in the property. God forbid you went with your lover, or you and definitely you will not get even one single paisa of your father's property. Definitely yes. And for widows and deserted women or single women, many times the inheritance is denied by the boys in the family. Further, how we find discrimination in socialization process and cultural practices. For example, all our Indian customs are binding us towards inequalities, and again the household activities are all binding us, binding only girls, not the boys. Alright, everywhere there is a restriction for women to move out or play in the open. Then even in school or public places, women are segregated or separated or looked at separately. And in our mother's place or father's place, there is patriarchal attitudes are there, and in mother-in-law's place or father-in-law's place, there also same attitudes are there. So women are going from pillar to post, but they are not getting respite, and they are not able to make any decisions throughout their life. Now, so to top it all, democratic process. Where are we? We are trying for a reservation for many years in reservation bill, women reservation bill. We are trying, nothing happening. And even people who are in politics, the women who are in politics, are they fully empowered? Are they getting training for their job? No, they are just there as decorative pieces. Okay, and any political strategies or decision making, these women are not participating. They are not participating. And for people like us, ordinary people like us, how much is our political awareness? How much we know about politics? We shy away from politics, we shy away from all the campaigns. We don't know what is happening in the country. It is safer for us to stay away. That is how we feel ourselves. And go to the education or technology or employment opportunity, there also women are left behind. We are not at par at all. And into whether about health awareness, mental health awareness or legal awareness or about skill development, there also women are left behind. So, and God forbid a conflict situation happens in a country, who is the maximum affected people? It is women and then children. Maximum women and children will be affected, and many times in such situations women are facing rape, early marriages, forced marriages, etc. Because people think women are a burden and burden should be put away. So hurriedly marriage happens, she is actually sent to somebody else's house so that they can stand freely. That's the way people think. For example, during the COVID time, the National Commission for Women received many complaints, out of which around 47% was about domestic violence. So, in most of the domestic workers, migrant workers, maximum are women and girls, majority. So 1 in 5 refugees or displaced women experience sexual harassment. Now, most of the government policies lack the voice of refugees, voice of women, and voice of youth or voice of children. Why? Because women are not there in any of those committees and they are not acting. So now, another situation is that when women is affected, the children in the family gets naturally affected. If a woman is literate, her children will be the best because they get the opportunity, because the woman decides in the family for their children and their education, etc., especially for girls. And if the woman is illiterate, like look at the literacy ratio, females are 70% literate in India and males are 84%. So if the woman is illiterate, God forbid, and they are not getting, their children will be suffering. Because the women do not have economic empowerment, the children are pushed to child labor rather than going to school because they don't know what needs to be done. And also the children who are suffering malnutrition, most of their parents, especially the women, are not educated at all. Many times, see, we are talking about startups now. How many women are doing startups? How many women CEOs you will meet? Barely 10%, not more than that. And the contribution of women to the GDP is only 18%. What happened to the rest of the percentage? 82%. So a case study happened in Haryana schools. This is done for World Bank. 314 schools, government schools in Haryana participated in the case study. So topics about gender issues, etc. were discussed in the case study, and there were questions formed. For example, a question was like, a woman's most important role is being a good homemaker. 77% of the boys agreed and 56% of the girls also agreed. Second question, boys need to get more opportunities or resources for education than girls. 78% of the boys agreed, naturally. But surprisingly, even 54% of the girls also said yes to that. That is how our country is. So, from this case study itself, there were certain questions. Another question: allowed to go alone to relatives' house in villages? No, boys are allowed, but girls are generally not allowed. Allowed to go to a market alone or not? Only 9% of the girls are allowed to go to the market alone, but boys can go anytime, everywhere. Allowed to go for a community function or not? Yes, for boys can be allowed, but girls cannot be allowed. This is all reality. This is as per the case study of 314 students from the schools. I want to show you one cartoon. What boy is asking his father, what is motherland? What is the answer? Motherland is the land where your mother will work hard and your father will enjoy it and own it. That is our motherland. Okay, look at another cartoon where this is a corporate race. Men and women are equally placed and they are trying to run. Men have a free way. Look at the women's situation. They have so many hurdles in their life. They are thinking about caregiving, about old people, children, family, husband, all those things, but they never get a chance about. How can we call it a level playing field? It is not at all a level playing field. So another one, this woman is beaten up by her husband, and then she goes to the police station. The police guy is saying that your case is on top priority. Look at the topness. Where is it? So by the time this case come into, they look at the case, by that time chances are that this lady would be beaten up to death also. So we have a very biased system of looking at women's issues. So because of all these atrocities happening in the society, we talk about equity instead of equality, because equality means each individual or group or people are given equal resources and opportunities. They can be given equal resources and opportunities only if they are at the same level playing field. Since women are not at the same level playing field, we are asking for equity, not equality. Equity, what is equity means? Equity means that each person has their own circumstances, their own backgrounds and their own baggages. Depending upon that, it is only fair to give them that kind of approval, that kind of resources, which is fitting to their requirements, so that both men and women can reach the same outcome. So in equality, we are looking at equal start, but in equity, we are looking at equal finish. The outcome should be equal. So the differential treatment should be given to them. So examples of some equality and equities can be given here. Today the reality is that, look at the first one. The tallest guy is taking up the maximum number of pedestals and he's standing on top of it. The average guy is managing one stool, one pedestal, and he's standing on top of it. And the poor guy, the shortest one, he's standing at the pit, inside the pit. So that is the reality today. What is equality is that everyone is given the same stool, same pedestal. Does it help? Look at that. Can everyone see the play there? No. So what is equity? Equity means that each and every person is given according to their requirement. The first one can stand without any stool. No pedestal is required. The second one need one stool. He can just barely make it up. The third person requires two stools.
So the outcome
that the outcome is same. They can all see, equally enjoy the play. But what is required is, we don't need that barrier at all. Just remove the fence. Why do you need to create the fence and then we put up different levels of reaching there? I have some more examples of equality and equity so that we understand these things clearly in our mind. What is equality and what is equity? See, look at the cycles, the same type of cycles. First we see a physically challenged woman, and then there is one tall guy, one girl, and then one boy. Here everybody is given same cycle. Will it help? No. We have to give different cycles depending upon the size and their physical ability. In the second one, in the equity one, we see that different cycles of different levels and styles are given so that they all can race. They all can actually participate in the race. And again, looking at the second one, this one is that there are low-hanging fruits. Apples are there. Everyone wants to achieve it there. There are 2 men and 1 woman. The first man who is tall enough, in the first one, in equality we are giving everybody the same pedestal. Is it help? Does it help? No. The woman will not even try. Will not even try because she understands that she doesn't need to try. She will not succeed. The second one is at least jumping and trying. The third one, the second opportunity, here the example here, the tallest guy is given the shortest pedestal. The second guy is given the next size pedestal, and the girl is given a bigger pedestal. So 3 people equally can pluck the fruit at the same time and satisfy themselves. Another example is that we see pedestrians on footpaths, no? We see jumping, there will be steps put up in different places, but will it help with a physically challenged person? Does that, giving the same opportunity for everyone, does it help? No. We have to give them ramps so that they are also helping. They can also walk or they can also travel. So this is equality, while this example is for equity. So one need to, as women, we need to understand what exactly is equality and what exactly is equity. And then only we can try for and work towards equitable situations in the society. Okay? Now, internationally there are certain treaties and laws which has actually come up. For example, in 1979, UN General Assembly has made 189 countries to sign a treaty that is called the CEDAW Treaty, so which is against the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. So this one was signed by every country including India inside 1979. So this treaty is considered as the Bill of Rights for women across the world. This treaty binds every country to follow certain norms and regulations. It demands that to eliminate all kinds of discrimination against women in private or in public. And it actually promotes equal rights for women. So, actions to achieve gender equality. First, I will talk about the situation, how the government should be taking care of our cause. The government has to take accountability fully for the gender equality commitments. For example, the CRC or CEDAW Treaty or SDG goals. These need to be implemented by government. In India, the agency which is supposed to implement the CDG, all these are SDG goals are Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is entrusted with getting this work done, and it is entrusted with the development, monitoring and evaluation of of all the strategies which government of India is trying to implement. So this has we hope and pray that Niti Aayog will be coming up. I won't say that nothing is happening. There are many programs happening which will be there should be more impetus given to that. That's what I'm saying. Government should try and eliminate all gender-based stereotypes in books and publications, in ads, etc., etc. There are many we've seen. So we should be aware so that we should also be protesting against those things. So another is that, see, equality issues are not a women's only issues. It is a human race. It is a human rights issue. It's a human rights issue. We have to, when we are doing equality issues, we should be actually involving men and women together, then only the social setup, the mindset will change. We have to end, the government has to end all the discriminating policies. There are policies which are very much predated, and for example, pension policies. Pensions are given to people who are continuously working, full-time workers, but majority of Indian women are part-time workers. They are not working full-time workers. The laborers are part-time laborers. Because of their household stuff and because of their family issues, they are not working full-time. So how can you treat both the people together, same, in the same standard? Okay? And government has to work towards eliminating gender-based violence. There is no, as women, we have equal right. The earth and the heaven, the sun and the sand, it is all equal for everyone in the world. 50-50. Why we are not given our rights? Our rights are not given. We have to actually, government has to do actions in this to make our lives violence free. So government has to ensure that the sexual and reproductive health should be taken care of. Everybody has, each woman has the right to understand and to decide that whether she should marry, whether she should not marry, whether somebody should touch her or not. It is her right. Nobody can say anything in that. So, Women's Reservation Bill is a major step in terms of equality in India. It will be a landmark if it happens. You know what? For the last 26 years, we are talking about it, but when it comes to passing in the parliament, it doesn't happen. What is Women's Reservation Bill? So 33% reservation for of the seats in the Lok Sabha and also in the local legislative assemblies, state legislative assemblies. So for this, there is so many things are happening, but from 2000. First, it was presented in 2006, then it is in 8, and then 10. Presentations are happening, speeches are happening, but no man is willing to give it to women. They are not willing to give it to women because they have to vacate so many seats. You can't increase the numbers, no? The number of seats are only limited. It is based on the population. So you have to, nobody wants to vacate the seats. So it is, nobody wants to pass it also. Recently, what happened is in the AICC plenary happened, and in that, Congress has said that we will support this. A feeble voice has come forward, we don't know. But the ruling party has to work towards it, mindful about it, and it has to be done. For 26 years wait, it has to come to an end. So for the last 26 years, YWCA of India, from the first day when it was started, about discussions about Women's Reservation Bill, we are into the whole discussions. It has happened, it is, we as part of the 7 Sisters Women's Network, YWCA of India was working towards it from the beginning. Even today, even last week I believe, we all met and we were discussing actively about how this can be implemented, how this can be brought into to the forefront again. Even at least in 2024 elections are going to happen. So before that, have to get this Women's Reservation Bill as part of the agenda of every political party, so that they can talk about it and we get it at least. Okay. So what is our role? As women, we need to speak in every forum we are talking about Women's Reservation Bill. In our homes, in our communities, in our schools, in our colleges, in our offices, in the media. Let us talk about it and get it. It cannot be a distant dream anymore. I will briefly talk about workplace equality and equity. What it is. First, I talked about how government should be doing and how we as women and organizations should be doing equity. So there are efforts being happening, but it is not fully happening. So what is equality at workplace? It refers to equal treatment of every employee. Is it what we need? No. What we need is workplace equity. It acknowledges that there are differences in people and the needs are different. So the resources should be given to those people at a different ratio. It cannot be same for all. So what can happen once this equity is happening in a workplace? What happens is that there is diversity and inclusion in workplace. And this will actually create more trust of women employees in the organizations. It will create more employee engagements, and also it will create more employee retention in organizations. So people who are intelligent, organizations who are intelligent will invest in this, because it is proven that wherever these workplace equity laws are implemented, they make more profit. It is a proven fact. So I just want to talk about how it can be implemented in a workplace. We all work in one place or other, anywhere, how we implement equity in workplace. First one is educate everyone. People should know that there is inequality exists. We cannot cover it up. We cannot push it under the carpet. We should understand if it exists in the society, then it is existing in the workplace also. So we should understand there should be educations happening around that in every in organizations. We have to evaluate our own biases. Even women, we have biases. We talked about it, no? In multiple forms, so many people talked about it. These are our biases, because we have created our own shell, and we are imagining different things for ourselves. We have to encourage diversity and inclusion as organizations, and we have to establish policies. Just by saying that, these situations won't change. It all changes through, whether it is for government or for organizations, it changes only through policies. Government has to bring in public policies, organizations have to bring in their own organizational policies. So, organization needs to elevate the minority. Who are minorities? Many offices, women are minorities, physically challenged people are minorities, so they have to work and create policies for that. And they have to ensure work-life balance. Enabling networking groups, it has to be there, because this needs to be discussed in continuity. It cannot be discussed only on Women's Day. It has to be continually discussed. And we have to engage with the community. Here the community means the women community. The women community in every organization need to be discussed with these matters. Policies need to happen. What are the policies each association each organization need to bring in? Gender equity and social inclusion policy. This is one thing which is outlining the organization's commitment and the diversity. There should be policies made. Then equitable talent and management policies. See, the policies need to happen right from the hiring stage. It cannot be brought in later. The organization need to have policies from sourcing the candidate, interviewing the candidate, their developments, designing compensation structure, etc. etc. So again, compensation and benefits equity policy. Equal pay for equal work need to be a reality, which is not today. Other policies are like policies to accommodate work-life balance and policies that create a safe and supporting environment. For example, domestic violence is happening in homes. Are organizations aware of that? People are aware of that, but are we mindful of that? Are they creating a safe space for women to talk about it, to support them also? It should be part of organizations' policies so that the real equity will happen in organizations. Otherwise, it will not happen. Okay, I just want to quote and close it. This is Swami Vivekananda. He said, there is no chance of the welfare of the world unless the condition of women is improved. It is not possible for a bird to fly on one wing. Thank you so much for a patient hearing.
'Cause I heard it all the same. But go ahead, amuse me. I need it now. I need it now. All them pretty words, always lame. You're trying to entice me. Not going down. Not going down. And you trying to make a case. Don't wait. 'Cause you about to be erased, aced, aced. I got too much love for me. 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 Sure it worked before, way to score. You've been quite the player, but I am buying. I just ain't buying. You can quit your rent, you will fail, and I won't catch you later. Now take a note, a note. And you